On September 23, 2022, in rural Pennsylvania, a Catholic pro-life author and speaker got arrested by a SWAT team, no less, over dubious charges.
And why? Because in the past, he once pushed someone at a Planned Parenthood demonstration when the person was yelling and screaming at his 12-year-old boy.
A dawn raid, guns drawn, that is reserved for gang members, for people who are armed and dangerous.
It's ironic that religious freedom is at risk in America, in light of the fact that America was founded basically by Christians and basically for the purpose of providing religious freedom, which was then extended to other groups.
The risk is that you will have people who do not understand the basis of what this country was founded on. As Ronald Reagan said, that freedom is always one generation away from extinction. It is up to parents to transmit that to their kids, and it's also up to schools, hopefully, to transmit that, although we can't always trust the schools to do that. So we don't want to be the generation that fails to transmit that legacy of freedom to the next generation.
Some scholars have noted that religious liberty is the linchpin of all other liberties. So notes the Christian son of a lady that was at one time America's best-known atheist.
Religious liberty is the first liberty, and people really don't understand the struggle against a public expression of faith, which my mother, Madalyn Murray O'Hare, was involved in, is actually a struggle against free speech. Religious liberty is the core. If you don't have the right to practice religious freedom, if you don't have the right to publicly state your religious beliefs or to gather people together for your religion or to publish those religious beliefs, then you do not have freedom of speech, you don't have freedom of press, you don't have freedom of assembly.
I believe that the #1 domestic issue in America is religious liberty and the rights of conscience. The total weight of the culture, the total weight of government, the total weight of it all has come to bear upon our religious liberty. This is our first liberty. I mean, I think it is fair to say that if we are not religiously free, then all the other freedoms in our that are guaranteed by our Constitution and given to us by God Almighty, then I think they're all insecure as well.
Religious liberty, I think, is almost public enemy #1 for a great many segments of our society. And that's tragic because this country was founded on the premise that people should enjoy the fullest degree of religious liberty. I mean, that's why our ancestors and those who came before them came over from the old country to be able to live their faith and not only profess it freely. People now talk about freedom of worship as if religion were something that could be confined within the four walls of churches, places of worship, or temples, or mosques.
The candidates we vote for make a huge difference in terms of preserving religious freedom or chipping it away, or in some cases, tearing it away. In the case of the senatorial candidates we vote for, they impact what kind of judges we get.
Religious freedom is at risk in America. It's under assault by political correctness and by the secular fascists of our time who want to try to impose their own code of conduct on everyone. That means that the only thing that moral relativists cannot countenance are people who believe in moral absolutes. And so they will seek to ostracize, and they will seek to penalize, and they will seek to prosecute people who do believe in absolute truth, namely Christians. So you have an assault through the homosexual agenda that attempts to normalize and affirm their behavior and to ostracize to the level of the Ku Klux Klan those of us who believe that same-sex behavior is immoral and that we should not be affirming it to our children.
They're really coming after Christians who hold to a biblical worldview on the family because there is just a certain contingent that wants to say your family is what you can create, maybe with your same-sex partner, maybe with your same-sex wife or your same-sex husband, and they can adopt children. And as we see more of these cultural changes taking place through legislation like the Equality Act, especially if it passes all the way through Congress and is signed into law, that's going to be a game changer for the church, and we are just going to have to go back to the basics and say, God taught us what is real, we just can't move away from that. What I always say to Christians is, you know what is true, stay the course.
A recent example out of Miami shows how tenuous religious freedom is in modern America. John Labriola was fired from his job with Miami-Dade County because he wrote an opinion piece on his own time as a private citizen for an obscure online publication.
He was doing a fine job working. There were no complaints about the job he was doing.
In his article, he disagreed with the so-called Equality Act because of its promotion of abortion, homosexual marriage, and the transgender agenda.
Because he did this, he was ordered to be punished and go through a training program, a reorientation program, where he effectively would have to deny his faith, apologize for his faith, as well as use pronouns with other people that violated his faith as well.
When he objected that this training would go against his biblically held views, they fired him. With the help of the Pacific Justice Institute, Labriola is suing the county.
No individual should ever have to deny their faith, much less their beliefs and convictions, as a condition to work for government. That may be fine for communist China. That's not fine for the United States.
I believe in America, we are losing our freedom because we as Christians are afraid to speak up. And that's dangerous. There is no reason for us to be afraid. America and American people brought Christ and freedom to people all over the world. It's time for us Americans to bring Christ and freedom back to America, because there is no freedom, no, even in America, without Christ.
It's as if religious freedom in America hangs by a thread. Who we vote for all sorts of seats at the national, state, and local level make a huge difference. Is there a big wave of change coming in the polls?
The only poll that matters is the poll you pull in the polling booth when you vote for someone. That's the only one that's going to be counted at the end of the day. It's not what the pundits say, it's not what the pollster said, it's not how many people they called, it's how many people voted and who they voted for and how they voted. That's the only poll that matters. The wave is going to be what you decided to be when you walk in that booth, and when other Christians like you walk into that booth, if they will vote conservative, biblical, constitutional values, that will be the wave that everyone will be talking about the morning after the election.